Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers team, and we're back for some more interviews tonight. Tonight I'm here with Matheus Boesing. Matheus is a speaker at the conference that's going on right now, the Oracle Groundbreakers India Yatra, which has been running for 3 weeks. It's ending up this week, next few days, and we're going to talk about what he's been talking about at the conference. Matheus, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you for having me. This is a pretty nice stage, and I see a lot of great names that you have talked with. So thank you for having me.
Cool. Yeah. No, I've been very impressed with the list of speakers at the conference. It's such a big event, and extremely international. I mean, you're actually in Brazil right now. I've spoken to people from all over the world, and so it's unfortunate that it's only virtual, but hopefully next year things will be a little bit different. But specifically, I've reached out to people that I don't know, and so you're my 30-second interview for this event. So I have 32 new friends here, and that was my own personal goal here, actually. So since we don't really know each other, and I mean, I've seen you on social media and stuff like that as part of the community, but we've never actually spoken. Why don't you start off by giving us just a little bit of a summary of who you are and what you do, and then we can dive in from there.
Awesome, thanks. So yeah, nice to meet you as well. We are in the opposite side of the world, right? You are in Japan, I'm in Brazil. It's 11 a.m. for me, 11 for you, right?
Yep.
PM. So I'm not sure if I should have said that as it's recorded, but going back, so my background is I live in Brazil, in the southwest state in Brazil, so pretty close to Argentina, Uruguay. I have been always working from here. I started as an in-house DBA, so I worked for a big bank in Brazil. And after this, I moved to the consultancy stuff. Right now, I'm a consultant at PTN. We support clients all over the globe. But the good stuff is we work remotely, so I'm pretty used to that thing of working from home that right now everybody's doing, right? But for me, and I see that you already interviewed a few Pitanites as well. We work from home. I've been working from here for 4 years so far. So basically, that's a summary of my career. Something that I really like to do, and probably people know me about because of this, is because of my blog, repora.com. We try to keep it very active. We have 15 authors at this point, so
15?
possibly that's yes. We have 15 authors working for writing for the blog.
Oh,
So I try to bring the brand. It's all about sharing and community. We're going to talk about it for sure. But well, that's me.
cool, cool. So you said you're a DBA, and that is the subject of the talk that you gave at this conference. So I guess a couple of days ago, or previously, and you called it "Tips and Tricks from 20,000 Hours of a DBA on Call." So 20,000 hours is a non-trivial amount of time. So usually you figure 10 years for 10,000 hours or so. You don't look that old for 20 years in the business. So you must have worked a lot to accumulate 20,000 hours.
Yeah, the thing with the number is, as you know, whenever we speak a number, it sounds more impressive. But the thing is, everybody that has like 12, 10 to 12 years holding primary on call every 3 or 4 weeks probably has some number similar to that. The thing is, when I started my career, I started holding on call every 2 weeks, so it was quite a lot, a big amount of time. And right now working for PTN, we have the follow the sun system, so we always have somebody working somewhere in the globe, and we basically have the on call for the weekends. But in Brazil, we only have DBAs during the day, during the business hours, and then holds during the night. So it helped me a lot on raising up this number, especially at the beginning of the career. Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through some of the tips and tricks.
Yeah, basically what I try to cover on the session, and this is what I try to do on every session that I present on any conference, I try to raise things that would be useful on the daily basis for the DBAs. Of course, it's nice to have new features about some stuff or something that is coming up or some successful case. But what I try to do as a DBA, and it's basically what I like to see on events, is tips and tricks or small things that I can start using on my environment on daily basis from day zero, that I can come back to my company and start using. So I basically consolidated 15 or 20 tips during this presentation that people don't usually do during, and related to the things that usually happen during the on-call coverage, sessions in lock, sessions consuming too much resources from the database, and some tricks to avoid killing the session, which is usually what a junior DBA does, right? And also some tips regarding tuning, some resources that we have handy. We all know that we have, but we don't usually use them properly, like invisible indexes, no segment indexes, also snapshot standbys, and some other tips. So I'm pretty okay on speaking that because I already delivered my session yesterday, right? But it's basically all about that, right? So tips for the daily basis.
So these are things that you've learned, you've learned over the years. How many of these things are like sort of unique that I have to tell everybody about this. This is something I discovered, or these are just common things that maybe best practices, but people don't necessarily do them.
Yeah. Well, in general, every case is a different case, right? So it's hard to tell. For that sort of situations, always do that and always do the other thing. So every case needs to be investigated differently. So of course we would have a lot of things that are very specific, but what I try to present and to show is the general things. So something that I bring up is some new resources. For example, instead of killing sessions, this is not a new resource, but instead of killing sessions, we can basically suspend the session and resume that later. This is not new. This is something that has been in place for a long time. And we can do that either from the database perspective, but also if we have any sort of thing running from a shell script, we can suspend the process from the Linux side or the AX side. And I know that you have been working on some ecosystem for a long time. So this is what I show, right? So things that people have handy, sometimes they don't know, but they can really save some time or make somebody else a little bit more happy with the DBAs, because the DBAs are often the villain during the on-call, right? And also some new features like counseling SQL that we have since 18C. We have some different views to analyze and to find out trace files since 12.2. So I try to mix up things that are old and people don't use and things that are new from the new versions.
That's an interesting point of view, the old and the new. What about, say, younger and older DBAs? Do they look at it slightly differently?
The thing is, the database has been evolving, right? So we have new features, new things that we can try out, and Oracle is being really nice to us on this regard. They are automating a lot of things, not always working really fine, but in general, they are improving the tools. The whole thing about being an Oracle DBA, the thing that I like to be an Oracle DBA is that we have a lot of tools. From Oracle built-in tools, there are some tools that are available on my Oracle support. We have a lot of community tools that help us on everyday basis. And basically, this is because Oracle has a lot of information about what's going on the database. And this is awesome. But in one hand, we have the new features and new stuff that we can use to improve the efficiency on our daily basis tasks. In the same hand, we have the same core basic skills and knowledge and architecture that we have for a long, long time. So for the old DBAs, they are still relevant. They are, as soon as they know how to deal with older databases, they can understand better how the new databases works. And for the new DBAs, this is also a good opportunity because me and any other 19C DBA, let's say, we have the same experience with this version, right? Because we are all here. So Oracle is being very fair with all the generations of DBAs from my perspective.
So it sounds like the role of the DBA is changing just over time. I mean, some of that's natural with technology changing, more autonomous, more sort of development functions or DevOps, functions as well as these fields sort of mix, right? I mean, did you see that trend as well?
Yeah, I see completely. I believe this is transparent for all the DBAs in not only Oracle DBAs, but other technologies as well. But I believe this is right. For the 9i DBAs, there was a lot of changes on 10G, from 10G to 11G, from 11G to 12C, and so on. What we basically need to do is to adapt and to know the new features and the new concepts that are being presented, right? But if you analyze the architecture itself, as I said previously, the concepts are basically the same. The recent concept that we have, the concept change that we have on the architecture, the most recent one from my perspective is the multi-tenant, right? This is something that changed a little bit. But before that, I mean, there is always been like the same thing. I have been hearing that the DBAs are dying since 10G when the autonomous thing started, the automatic SGA and so on, right? But the thing is, we need to adapt ourselves. Like the taxi drivers are becoming Uber drivers, like the guys that type on machines started typing on PC and so on. I mean, I believe this is all natural. And the only thing that we need to do is not stay comfortable and keep learning on daily basis. And this is why this sort of conversation that you and me, we are having, it's nice for. And this is why the audience that is seeing this video right now is doing the right thing, right? Hearing new stuff, hearing people talking about technology. And this is all about the conferences as well. So the whole message is the concepts are the same, but we need to keep learning and to keep improving ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good message because there's, when you keep learning, you're creating new opportunities for yourself, because the business is changing, the technology is always changing, and I think the rate might be faster these days than it was, say, in the 1980s or something. But
Yeah.
I think that the concept of just technology in general, which has been around for quite a while, all forms of technology change society and change your role in society, and so you have to adapt constantly. I think that's the rate of change that people actually get caught up with now, which also could be a benefit because you can jump into new fields relatively quickly. You can skill up relatively quickly on something, because the people who are in the field have to stay relevant, or they do stand a chance of falling behind. So with 20,000 hours, I think you've certainly stayed relevant in such a short amount of time.
At least solving problems. The thing with the on-call, and this is what we discussed on the session, is basically you have some 2 or 3 classes of problems, and they keep repeating on different ways. Basically, you need to have a concept understanding on the options on what you can do. And I believe this is all about technology as well. You have been working with IT for a long time as well. Yeah. The good part, as you said, is we are developing on a higher rate than usual. Basically, I believe because we have more people working with IT, and IT is becoming more relevant to the society in general, right? Look at us. We are having a conversation from 2 sides of the world, yep. And everybody is working remotely. So yeah, IT is growing because the society is needing IT to grow.
Now, have you presented or interacted with the Indian community before, or is this the first time?
No, no, this is my first time, and it was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really great.
You know, it's really interesting because a lot of the speakers are new, and for obvious reasons, because there's a mountain of them. I mean, it's like over 100, right? So 3 full weeks of sessions. So the online format lends itself to that. But so I think the Indian community has been exposed to a very, very serious amount of content here. So that's really good. Okay, so you're
And this,
also, yep, go ahead.
no, I would say that this is actually because of this whole situation that we are, and the Yatra tour being online is really awesome because from my perspective, and I see that you have interviewed some Latin American guys as well. We have the Latin American tour on the same dates than the Yatra usually happens. So we kind of have some conflict. And as being part of the Brazilian Oracle User Group Council is hard for me to go. So on this year, I had the great opportunity to know the people and to have a session, which was really great. So I committed myself to go there on the next year if it happens. I had a pretty nice discussion with Sai about it. And on the same hand, I hope you to come on the Latin America some year. Yes, on the last year, Mohammed was here.
Yeah.
So I believe you can be as well.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, looking forward to going because I'd never been to that part of the world. I've never been, so I grew up in the United States, but I've never been to the southern part there. And I mean, I've studied it in school and I have friends, obviously you guys, my friends, but I've never actually been there. So, and I know once you go, everything is different, so I was planning on it, but then our favorite virus changed
Yeah,
those
we are looking
plans.
forward to have you as well. But let's make it. You cannot come in the same year that I go, so we need to meet each other.
So tell me about what it's like to be an Oracle ACE director. And because it says here in my notes, I just scribbled some notes beforehand that you're the youngest Oracle ACE director. So what, that's quite an achievement because that's the highest level, right?
Yes, it's the highest level of the Oracle ACE program. It actually it's a big honor to me to be part of the ACE program. When I started my career, I started looking about technical certifications and the community levels. I saw the OCB, OCM, and after the ACE, we didn't have associating at that time. We only had ACE and ACE director. And then I thought, man, I will never reach that point. But the thing is, as soon as this is a natural thing, right? As long as you start contributing with the community and you start to see how people enjoy that and how that make yourself evolve as a person and learn by sharing, this becomes a passion, and the program is like a consequence. The whole thing about the ACE program is about sharing, right? It's not for self-promotion or anything, because if you see the people that try to reach out to the ACE program only to be an ACE, they leave the program in a few years. But the people that really, the ACE program happens because they like to do that, those are the people that remain on the program. So it's been such an honor for me to be on the program and to be on events and know other ACE directors from the world, people that I used to see from Twitter or from the blogs, that I read the blogs of those person and meet them in person. And this is something that the ACE program provides us, right? The community, the contact with the Oracle engineers and so on. So this is really, really awesome. But it does not mean anything technically, right? People used to think, oh, this guy is a director, he knows about stuff. But this basically means that I like to speak with people and to interact with the community. This is not a technical certification or anything.
Right.
But well, I'm really glad to be on the program and to have this opportunity, and among those opportunities, to talk to you right now.
Well, I mean, but it's not a certification in that sense, but it's a recognition of like it's a recognition of your work, right? So it has to be a certain level for you to be recognized. So that's certainly, and I've traveled with several ACEs at various, actually ACE directors at several conferences and stuff, and their knowledge level is pretty darn substantial. So you're really in good company, and it also demonstrates
Yeah.
your. What's that?
Sorry. No, I would say that it's a consequence that you speak with people, you learn by sharing. So it's a consequence that you improve yourself as a DBA and improve your knowledge. And as you said, it's a recognition, and in some sort of way, I'll say to the world that this guy has something to say and he knows how to say.
Right.
So yeah, I agree that the ACE program is all about that.
So this is also a result of you being involved in the community, right? So you've done a lot of community work globally as well as locally in Brazil, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I've been speaking on some conferences. I had the opportunity on last year to be on Norway, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Croatia. Earlier this year, before the whole COVID thing, I was in Denver, Colorado for the remote. So most of the conferences that I participate are community events, and I pretty much like and enjoy being part of those. In Brazil, I'm counselor at the Brazilian Oracle User Group, the GUOB. And because Brazil is kind of big, so we have some state Oracle User Group. And in the southeast state, we have the GURS, which is the Rio Grande do Sul, the name of state Oracle User Group. Like in US, the guys has also some regional Oracle User Groups. We have that in Brazil as well, and I'm the member of the team as well here in my state. And ultimately, as I mentioned, we have 15 authors on our blog. So this is the first level of things that I try to do. So I try to reach everybody I can from the blog. I try to be whenever I can on Oracle conferences to know people and to be there and to see different things from different perspectives. And I try to engage with my local community as much as I can as well.
Yeah, it's really every single person I talk to, every single speaker I've spoken to, not only at this conference, but at every single conference in this field, to one extent or another, they're a part of some community. And it could even be just a user community or something more collaborative, like say an open source community where you're contributing code together, writing code. It's amazing to see such a large number of people who understand the concept of distributed development, distributed communications, collaboration, these things that you, quite frankly, take as normal, right? And I continually say that's if you've worked in other fields, that's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the culture that collaboration and sharing, all these strange words that you use, other people don't necessarily use them. That's why I'm here, by the way, because I view that as an opportunity. Talking to you and talking to others. I now know, because I didn't know anybody in Brazil. How would I know anybody in Brazil without this business? All right.
You need to come.
I mean, I'd have to get on an airplane, go down there, land, and just kind of meet people at random, right? So, I mean, I'm continually, it moves me every single time because I used to work at Sun, as you can see, and I was on the Open Solaris project. So I understand how to build open source communities and the power of this concept of contribution, to a community is, development community is very, very strong. And I hear it in everything that you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know that those sort of sharing stuff is being more and more relevant to everybody, because people are staying at home. And when you are in the office, you have, the colleague that you work with to share ideas and to discuss things. But as soon as you are remote and working from home, sometimes it's easier to Google something and to read blogs and to see a video about stuff instead of having a video call with the colleague. So I believe this whole scenario that we are right now, it's also something that contributes to this sharing idea in general. And I believe people are understanding that more. We have been seeing so many lives here and there, right? So I believe people are getting really into sharing knowledge through the internet and meeting people from other places. So I believe this is just awesome for all of us.
Cool. Well, it's a great conversation, Matheus. Thank you very much. Tips and tricks from 20,000 hours of DBA on call, and Oracle ACE Director. And hopefully we can meet live at some event in the future. And hopefully that's not too long. Maybe the year after next year.
Maybe let's make that deal, right? To not miss each other.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks for your time, Jim. Thanks
Cool.
for the stage. Thanks for the opportunity. And I would like to use this opportunity to also thank India for the great session we had yesterday on the Yatra tour. We have still a few days of the event, so I really recommend you to be part of that. And the participants were really nice from my session. We had a lot of questions, so indeed it was a great experience to me, and I intend to repeat that in person as soon as I can. So thank you again for the time, for the stage, and for the opportunity.
Cool. Safe travels.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye now.